What's up, guys? Ben here, bringing you another video today. It is Friday morning, and I wanted to discuss a couple of pieces of news that have kind of dropped over the last like 2 or 3 days. And they all have kind of the same thread, which is what were they thinking? Whether it's an individual person, a team, or the league. 3 different situations. I'm a little confused about the decision making involved in it. Let's dive in. We're going to start with Seattle Surge, Abuzah, and the issues around the unlock tool. All right, so there was some banter a couple of days ago on Twitter. This is like post the middle of the week when there were some ban waves going through it, and it looks like the ban waves were more around a couple of tools that people had used or you know, people had paid to go in Discord to use to unlock challenges and camos on their account, and Activision went and banned those accounts. And it looks like a couple of CDL players did use those type of tools on their CDL account and subsequently got their account banned. You saw Abuzah has now deleted tweets saying that he got banned. This is over a couple of days ago. I just don't understand the thought process, especially on your CDL account. First off, like on the public side of it, when you're actually seeing people play matches on their CDL account, they've got their team skin. It just kind of auto maps the skin onto their player. I kind of get it if the players want to have a feel when like they're scrimming. It's sort of a mental thing, but it's just not worth the trouble to do something illegal. I get it. You can't play pubs on those accounts. You're limited to like base camos. Maybe the league or Activision, you know, should allow full camo unlocks on those accounts, but why would you pay for cheats and unlock tool and get yourself in a situation like this? And the Clay highlights, it looks like people that are getting banned are lucky that they're not getting suspended, because they really should be getting suspended. It looks like all they have to do is pay a fine. And then in classic, you know, Seattle Surge fashion, this is more controversy with Abuzah just bantering people. Abuzah saying he never breaks GA, which is interesting because they got busted for breaking GAs earlier this season when he was using single tap. Whatever, I guess. The point is the Seattle Surge team cannot stay out of controversy, cannot stay out of issues outside of the game, inside the game, and they got to work on being more disciplined. Because there's another in a million list of distractions that they've had this year to take away from their honestly extremely mediocre gameplay. And my guy Spence, who you see whenever we play a lot of pro clubs, and he works for CDL on the player relations side. I really like his tweet. What's his saying again? Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Feels like this logic could be applied about this situation, I believe. Great tweet from Spinna, and honestly summarizes my feelings on the subject. All right, next up in a list of what were they thinking, Carolina Royal Ravens will not be hosting Major 4. They sent out their own tweet. We'll take a look in a second. The CDL then subsequently put out an update afterwards saying that the tournament will move from happening in Charlotte to a studio in Burbank. I assume the Esports Engine studios in Burbank, the old NGE studios prior to that, with no live audience, so we'll have the same feel as the Belong Pro-Am and Major 4 last year. One nice thing about this, I will say one nice thing, is we are getting now a 1-week break in between Major 3 and Major 4, which is nice, because I was not looking forward to 11 straight weekends of COD. I want an occasional Saturday or Sunday where I can live my life as do y'all, but you know, now we actually have one of those. So the major will now take place at the last week in June, but it's really disappointing in a number of aspects here. It's disappointing that the final major of the season is going to have no fans. It's a very important major for a number of teams trying to qualify for champs. It's very disappointing now that Challengers is probably not going to happen, I assume, at this event. So that's super disappointing. They only get like 3 opens this year is a huge L before champs on that front. And I'm really tired of stupid tweets like this from teams. This is now like the 3rd time I feel like it's happened where a team agreed to run an event and then couldn't pull it off. And you know, a little bit of spin here. A range of factors will not be hosting. It's a failure on all fronts. It's a failure on the Carolina team for committing to run an event and being in a tenuous situation where maybe they don't have the resources to pull it off or the venue secured to pull it off. And on the league side, allowing these teams to continue to make mistakes and committing to host events. And I understand why the league does it, because it takes a little bit of financial burden off of them as far as their annual budget. But now they've got to pay for this. And it obviously then takes away money from other things that they could have used that for. It's not, you know, people think, oh, Activision, $1 billion company. There are finite resources given to each individual business unit. And what happens in a situation like this is they were allocated money in the beginning of the year, and there's probably discretionary money now they've got to use to run this event that they could have used on something else during the off season. So really disappointing. I hope really to the most end of this is really the end of team hosted majors in the CDL. I mean, I still think that they should carve out, you know, for an Optic or a Toronto or a Boston, where they seem to be consistent enough to be able to run these events that you can kind of trust that that's not going to be an issue. They have a venue they go back to every year, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But these, like with New York, that one year where they backed out, that was last year, Carolina this year. There's been other instances over the last couple of years, some private that never really been talked about, that have kind of led to issues. Just, they need to do a better job on this process. I think the league's got to run more events, to be honest, to make sure that the schedule is good. There's more events, and we're not pivoting in the spring in regards to the schedule. And the last piece here, and I'm actually surprised this is coming back around, but Hex did a episode of the Eavesdrop with Pred, and they talked about the buyout situation that happened last year. If you remember, after Major 1, there was a lot of talk about Optic making a roster change and picking up Pred off of Seattle Surge. They could not agree to terms with Seattle on the financial transaction to make that buyout happen. And so Hector revealed on the episode that the buyout, at least the last offer they put in, was around $420,000. Now, if you follow my channel, if you followed the flank, I've told you that as part of this, Dashi was also going the other way. So I'm not sure if this is, maybe the last full cash offer they made at the end. I don't know if this included Brandon transaction, but it's obviously a very large number. And as well, AG mentioned on this that in the offseason prior, phase when they were making their roster change to pivot away from Alec, we're thinking about getting Pred after that big rookie year he had, and that Seattle Surge have rejected a $500K offer that they had tried to make. So a couple of key things here. First off, I love AG, great player, superstar player. I don't think there's any COD player other than, say, Scump or Simp or maybe Scrap that's worth that kind of money. I think AG is very good, a top tier player, but both 500 and 420 are insane numbers. And I would say, for the sake of the business unit, we'll get to why that's important in a second, that's the kind of money that you don't really turn down. At the end of the day, though, the Aquilani family, which owns the organization that kind of, operates the Seattle team, they're a billionaire. So like 500K is nothing to them. And that's more about the element of trying to build a championship team and maximize your window. But I think there's a couple of things at play here. One, especially if the team wanted to move on from Pred, they wanted a resolution situation. By not accepting the deal, you then create instability, which, in the case of Seattle Surge in Major 2, Major 3 last year, they were not very good until they kind of, got something together at the end of the season. They were still kind of a non-factor at that point. It's a weird one, man. I really think, from my digging in and talking to people in this situation, what happened with Seattle here is that Optic really wanted to get Pred, and that front office individuals at Seattle were also willing to move on Pred, and I assume the team as well. And they were trying to find terms that executive leadership on the Seattle side would approve, but they just never did. And it made everybody look like idiots. And, it made Seattle Surge's management look like idiots. And that's basically what's happened here. So I guess we finally get closure to an extent on this one for Hex and Pred. And for Seattle Surge, obviously looking at their situation now, it's been straight downhill since they refused to take this money. And I just don't see their situation improving as far as the personnel they have in the team right now. A year ago, it was a bit more optimistic. Now they're really in a tough position to qualify for champs. So yeah, that'll do it for this video. Some thoughts I had around all of these things over the last couple of days. So let me know in the comments what you guys think about the unlock tool situation, what you think about the buyout for Pred, as well as the Major 4 situation. I will say, for Major 4, being in Burbank, California does mean likely we're going to go to or be around that event since it's in California. And I like having a West Coast event so I can go to the beach and enjoy the nice weather. I live in cloudy Ohio, but let me know what you guys think in the comments. Like if you enjoyed, subscribe for more. And as always, guys, we'll see you on the next one.